Today I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why you're not making 7 figures in your coaching business or in your mainstream business. It's going to be full of wisdom and insight. And if you want to stay up to date with everything that I pump out in this channel for entrepreneurs, fitness entrepreneurs, and pretty much anyone that runs a business on the planet, make sure that you click subscribe. And of course, give me your feedback below the video. That would mean the world to me. Let's get stuck in. If you don't know me and we're only meeting for the first time, my name is Phil Graham and I run the world's largest fitness business mastermind. We have scaled to an 8-figure business over the last 3 years, and I want to use this channel to share some big insights, lessons, and principles on my growth as an entrepreneur, the mistakes that I've made, and ultimately just share my wisdom with you so that you can use it to make more money, make a bigger impact in the world, and of course, create more freedom for yourself, whatever it is that you do. A lot of the information that I share on this specific channel is tailored towards businesses in general, but those of you that are following it from the fitness industry side will definitely be able to relate to a lot of it. And there is the odd time that I will go into specifics. So the title of today's video is called 3 Reasons Why You're Stuck Below 7 Figures Per Year. Now, there's many reasons why you might not have hit 1 million in terms of turnover or profit, whatever way you want to define it. But I'm going to list out some of the big problems and implications that I see across many businesses, both small, medium, and large, right the whole way through to corporate. I am a bit of a geek when it comes to business. I love studying. I love reading. I love looking at reports. I love looking at analysis. I love looking at The Economist and everything revolving around business. So I read quite a lot around businesses and the structure, the infrastructure, the team, the organization, and everything else in order to sort of grow my own awareness. And I've been doing that for quite some time. I'd probably say it's my number 1 pastime. So I want to share some key insights here. The first thing is a mindset lesson. And I think this is a huge thing that many people below 7 figures experience, but it happens at all levels. And it's the concept of becoming more successful. And success is, of course, very individually defined. But generally speaking, if we look at the main characteristics of 1, making more money, 2, making a bigger impact in the world and actually growing your status and being recognized and respected and developing your authority. 3, in terms of freedom, you're much more prioritized with your time, you're more structured, and you tend to say no to a lot more things. And ultimately, as a result of that, it's quite easy to see the attributes of your success. You might have more money to spend on certain lifestyle expenses if that's your thing. You might be able to grow a bigger following. You might get more appreciation. You might even go out into your local city or your local town and gain the respect of many onlookers if you're walking through a restaurant or a popular bar or whatever it may be. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. The main thing that I want to get across here is that one of the big problems that I have seen and I've experienced myself when it comes to becoming successful is the fact that your success will make a lot of people uncomfortable. Now, those people are going to range. They're going to range from old school friends, old neighborhood friends, parents, mom and dad, grandparents, brother or sister, cousins, right the whole way through to even team members, clients. One of the big challenges that I see with many entrepreneurs is the fear of going backwards. If they've already started making some money, what happens is that they're very scared of it suddenly slowing down, taking a dip, or ultimately coming to a halt. And as a result of that, they tend not to push themselves further. And one factor that really exacerbates that is being around people that are uncomfortable with your success. So people that make sarcastic comments, people like parents and stuff like that, that ultimately, slag you off for spending so much time on your business, or a partner that suddenly sees you gain more status and suddenly gets jealous or annoyed or triggered by the fact that you're getting a lot more attention than them. There's so many different ways that people can feel uncomfortable as you grow and become more successful. And the problem with that is that those people that are being uncomfortable are typically the people that you spend a large proportion of your life around. You've maybe known them for a long period of time and they've ultimately shaped you to a degree. Again, as the saying goes, you are often the average of the 5 people that you hang around. especially if it's parents or it's a partner or if it's family member. And there's also the sort of aspect of, morally being wrong or putting money as your God. That's a big challenge that a lot of people have to overcome from if they've been brought up with religion. And the reality is once you start building a great business and you start serving others and you start impacting and growing at a high rate, money and impact and fame and status are all going to be byproducts. But the reaction of other people to you can be very uncomfortable, especially when they're the people closest to you, because realistically, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just working hard and building a great service and getting rewarded for it. And then when you're met with slander and criticism, it seems like, hey, the more I grow, the more hate that I'm going to attract. And what you've got to realize is that as you grow your business, you're going to make a lot of people uncomfortable as you become more successful. I certainly have done that with old school friends. I used to hear old school friends were making fun of how I spoke, making fun of how I prioritized my time, making fun of the fact that all I did was talk about business. Parents couldn't understand why I was working all the time. My partner at times couldn't understand why I was working all the time and why I wouldn't socialize or why I wouldn't go out, because I was sacrificing something to build something else. And I had to overcome all those different elements of being challenged and making others uncomfortable in those areas of money, time, status, authority, relationships, you name it. Even people are going to get uncomfortable with you collaborating with others in the same space that maybe they don't like. You're going to have to put up with some noise. But the reality is you have got to lean in to that aspect of growing and becoming your best self and not let others and their discomfort and their insecurity or their curiosity often hold you back from pushing and driving yourself, because the world needs the best version of you. It's as simple as that. If you want to remain safe, focus on growing, focus on impacting, because realistically, that's going to create more opportunities. If you want to put your business at risk, listen to your parents, listen to your cousins, listen to your old schoolmates, and keep buying into the limiting beliefs that they set for you. Don't get me wrong, you may find the odd person has got a great insight or something that you could actually utilize, but I see that as a huge factor as to why so many people don't scale their business. Now, moving on from that, I've got a couple of other things that I want to talk about. And like I said, there's many, many reasons why you can't scale from 6 figures to 7 figures or even 5 figures to 7 figures. 2 is relationships. That's the relationships you have with people. When I talk about relationships, I talk about relationships as clients. You might have the wrong clients. I work with a lot of coaches inside the fitness business that don't like the clients that they work with, and they've fallen into working with clients because it was the easy thing to go with. I've worked with many business owners outside the fitness space that have got clients that they simply do not like because they were born into a family business or they had something passed down to them. And it's just a way of life. It's tradition, it's culture within the family. So the reality is, if you're working with the wrong types of client, it's going to be very hard for you to show up and be your best. It's going to be very hard for you to push and want to grow into the pain that comes with serving those kinds of clients. And that may be down to the energy that they have, the problems that they have. There's a whole range of different things depending on what kind of business that you run. Number 2, not taking advantage of collaborations because you're worried that you're going to grow somebody else's audience and not your own. The reality is, when you can hijack somebody else's audience and ethically do it by providing a sheer amount of value, more people simply become aware of you. And one thing that I've always said to my clients, especially those that are personal trainers and do in-person delivery, is when your clients go to a social gathering or they're sitting at the dinner table and somebody brings up the subject or the area that you're an expert in or you're like really, really efficient in or really, really good at, you want them to go, hey, you should follow this guy. Hey, that is the guy or that is the girl that talks about that subject or that area a lot. Because when you do that, that audience becomes a sort of self-sustaining, super effective marketing mechanism for you that does a lot of the groundwork for you, especially in in-person businesses. You want to utilize collaborations and not hide away from them. Most people hide away from them because they think, hey, you know what, I'm just going to be growing somebody else's audience. Or 2, they think, hey, if I reach out, they're never going to get back to me. Completely the opposite. If you can add value and provide it, you'll serve the person that you're collabing with, and you'll also increase the amount of people that know who you are, and that's called distribution in business, which again is the contact game. You're making contact with more people know you, more people talk about you. And as a result of that, that provides security, protection in terms of marketing and growing your voice. Simple as. Relationships, number 3, and this is particularly in personal life and also in business/team life, not communicating clearly, not communicating what needs to be done, why it's important, when it's important, and ultimately the key roles and responsibilities of a particular role. Generally speaking, when it comes to delegating and hiring people for stuff, you want to delegate outcomes. You don't want to delegate a role. You want to delegate outcomes. Hey, I know you're being successful when this happens. Whenever they have got a clear metric like that, that is so much more proactive in terms of overall success, because they then know, hey, this is the expectation, and ultimately I know what I need to do or how I can use my own initiative to get to that outcome. And having regular cadence and communication, and on top of that, meeting with the team regularly, running through challenges, having a high level of transparency. One of our main cultural values inside Authority Network is we initiate conflict to get to an outcome. We're not afraid to argue with each other in order to prove a point or to get our point across if needs be. But that provides clarity as to why we think that certain way. And you got to remember, like when team members suggest something, it's typically because there's a good agenda behind it. They think that that is the best way. So a great question to ask is like, why do you think this? Who taught you to think that way? What are you trying? What is the point of this? Let me understand it better. And again, that just opens up your understanding of team members, etc. Another thing is hiring too quick. Quite often we can hire out of desperation. We hire too quick and the roles, the outcomes aren't communicated properly, and it causes team problems, or bringing somebody into the team that isn't a good fit. And ultimately they've got responsibility as a virus for the rest of the team members and the efficiency of the overall business. So again, cadence, communication, right the whole way through to actually looking at who am I bringing on, what kind of personality they got, maybe utilizing a personality test to a degree, or doing some proper interviewing and screening beforehand before you let somebody else in rather than rushing. And I do get it. Sometimes there can be fulfillment problems where somebody needs to be brought in ASAP if somebody else has dropped off. But again, think about that as well from a relationship perspective. If you've got key relations inside your business, if one of those were to drop out, go and do their own thing, get sacked, whatever it may be, or decide it's not for them anymore, how can you replace them quickly? So each team member should ultimately be building a level of redundancy into their role, building a training, building a playbook, building a system to support the next team member, if that makes sense. Last thing, infrastructure. And there's a ton of stuff that I could talk about with infrastructure, but it's basically all revolving around the systems, how the business is run, from the offer right the whole way through to how clients are dealt with, sales, everything else. So a couple of things in terms of infrastructure, and these are in no particular order, but one, having a really complex business. Most of the people that are going to be watching this are in the service-based business and have a coaching business. There are going to be some corporate people that are going to watch this as well, some people in the leisure and hospitality world, and also many, many fitness professionals. But when your business has got, especially in the coaching world, and there are going to be exceptions to this outside of the coaching world, way too many offers way too soon at different price points, it's going to be very hard to scale because each offer is particularly going to have a system behind it or a process behind it. And the reality is you want to be able to sell one great thing at one specific price point, scale that up to a level, and then start looking at other things rather than adding 101 things at the start and selling variety. You're selling transformation at the end of the day, not sessions, not, let the client pick and choose what they want. The reality is if you're a coach, you know what the client needs, especially if you're working with a specific niche and a target market that has got a big problem that you've solved many times before. And the whole saying that the customer is right is, well, quite frankly, wrong in a lot of cases, because if you're a coach and you've been doing it for a long time and you've got a solid track record and you know your target market, you will know the common mistakes and problems that your target market make. That's why they're stuck. So that's why they come to work with you. So that's a very firm belief. And don't get me wrong, the customer is in many ways always right sometimes, but when it comes to actually their own transformation and knowing what they want, knowing what they need, quite often they're misguided. And that's where you come in as a guide. Hiring too slow, not hiring team members quick enough, wearing too many hats, burning yourself out, being scared to hire, and ultimately giving yourself a lot of risk, both health-wise, burnout-wise, and quality of service. When you're wearing too many hats and you're just super divided, you'll begin to resent your business, your service quality will decline, and as a result, your clients will pick up on it. Competition will grow. Competition that works smarter, not harder, is your biggest threat. Competition that is building their team and hiring is your biggest threat. Why? Because it's giving the CEO, the leader of the business, more time and space to think about strategy, as in like, what campaigns do we need to do? Who do I need to collab with? What am I going to do in my spare time to build my wealth? If I'm building my wealth in the back end, then I'm more secure and confident in my business because I can have fun with it rather than relying on it solely for income. So there's a lot of things here that need to be considered. And then failure to iterate, failure to evolve the business as it grows, whether it's with technology, whether it's with new team members, whether it's with trends and messaging. Infrastructure percolates right into the marketing, the sales, the delivery of your business, the admin, right the whole way through the legal and tax stuff as well. So those are the three things. So comment below this video. Let me know what has been your biggest takeaway. Let me know if you're enjoying these. I've started to produce like 1 to 2 every single month, and they're just my insights on business, life, and of course, fitness businesses, main businesses outside of that in the mainstream sort of field can also benefit from these. So hopefully that was useful. Remember to click like and subscribe below. That would mean the world to me. We really want to grow this channel and impact entrepreneurs all over the planet with just straight up actionable in the trenches advice. Hope that helps. Take care. See you soon.